Opportunities abound in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. The country is endowed with arable lands, rich mineral deposits, and an insatiable market for goods and services required by the almost 100 million population. In April 2021, President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya and President Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC signed a bilateral agreement that would see greater collaboration between the two countries. The agreement culminated in a 15-day trade mission to the DRC organized by the Kenya and DRC governments and facilitated by Equity Group.
I believe it is a moment of rare regional and continental pride as we witness our local enterprises coming together in the spirit of one Africa, one people.
And the theme, unlocking trade, tourism and investment opportunities in DRC and the Great Lakes region, the trade mission attracted more than 300 Kenyan investors, entrepreneurs and small and medium enterprises SMEs. The delegates first jetted into Kinshasa, a metropolis that is home to more than 16 million people. They were led by Kenya's Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina, Equity Group Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi, Equity Group Chairman Professor Isaac Masharia, and the host, Equity BCDC Managing Director Celesta Mukeba.
We are very, very entrepreneurial. We seek new opportunities, and I've actually met Kenyans who have been in this market doing business for a while already. So this is, I think, for me, a great opportunity, and we present the opportunity in Congo as an opportunity for Kenyans to come and set up here.
The Kenyan entrepreneurs, captains of industry, and government agencies representatives were joined in the business forums, exhibitions, panel sessions, and site visits by more than 2,000 Congolese counterparts who were also keen to forge business partnerships.
J'ai la ferme conviction que la mission commerciale RDC-Kenya visant à rapprocher nos deux pays est de nature à renforcer nos relations en matière d'échanges commerciaux transfrontaliers facilités à ce jour par la zone de libre-échange continentale.
It's not every other time you get such opportunities where people open doors, actually walk in, see the opportunities, come back home and invite you to go and see what is available for you to do. And you can see this is a very big team. You have farmers here, we have engineers here, we have architects here, we have doctors here. It's a whole team. Just come and look for a niche for yourself, deliver on that, partner with the people on the ground, and you're good to go. It's a very good thing that Equity are involved in this, and I must say congratulations for holding our hands and bringing us. We have a time now to sit back and say these are the opportunities that we had, and this is what we did.
Giving a comprehensive prospectus of opportunities in the DRC, Dr. Mwangi said the trade mission was advised by the need for business decisions to be made guided by facts on the ground.
Today we started the Kenya DRC trade mission. We brought 253 Kenyan entrepreneurs. They are being hosted by over 2,000 Congolese business people. And the objective is to get Kenyan entrepreneurs to see the opportunity in DRC. The second one is to forge partnerships and collaboration with entrepreneurs of DRC so that we promote joint ventures.
Dr. Mwangi put in perspective the economic situation in the DRC, illustrating that the vast country is where Kenya was when only 6% of the population was banked.
DRC, from the financial sector, is where Kenya was in the early 90s. We're talking about 6% of the population being banked. 94% excluded. So this is a market we can grow very rapidly, much faster than we grew in Kenya, where we moved from number 66 to become number 1 largest bank in Kenya.
What Equity has done, I think, is one of a first, because Equity has been able to demystify the whole trade across DRC.
Kenya's Trade Chief Administrative
We want more of this because it's bringing like-minded people together. What is also the missing link is normally money. How do you de-risk an opportunity? Working with Equity as a partner, we're able to understand off-takers, we're able to de-risk by making sure that the money is available, we're bringing like-minded people together. Equity is a lubricant in all of this. And by facilitating and going at different government levels, we're removing a lot of wrinkles and allowing us to do business. Just love it.
Day-long discussions in sessions in Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, Goma and Bujimai addressed various topics with strong panels of experts analyzing their respective sectors. An exhibition site was annexed to the plenary where traders from both countries also had an opportunity to showcase their products and services. The delegates had an opportunity to network with their Congolese counterparts in matchmaking sessions and business site visits in all 4 cities. Equity BCDC MD Mukeba was at hand to discuss how the entrepreneurs can partner with the bank.
The DRC is a country of opportunity in the sense that the number of population, we are talking about 100 million people, and it's growing at least 3% per annum. So that shows the headroom in terms of growth, especially when we speak about 6% only the banking penetration. So 94% is the potential of growth.
It is refreshing to see that Africans are going to Africa, and we call them same as we call someone else investor. It is a very good thing. I love the mission.
Participants had a chance to interact and appreciate firsthand the opportunities that exist in trade, manufacturing, agriculture, mining, tourism, IT, among other sectors.
This mission is very good because it is also an opportunity for people of Africa to be together for that good business that we need to do between Africas. Equity Bank is now like a medium, between us in our invest.
Kenya's ambassador to the DRC, George Masafu, expressed his satisfaction with the mission.
Kenyan businessmen are not coming here to do business by themselves. They're coming to partner with Congolese partners here. So the bank is also going to finance the Congolese businessmen, just as they're going to finance the Kenyan businessmen. And we believe that with strong trade ties, the relationships between our 2 countries are going to be very strong.
Speaking at the Lubumbashi leg of the mission, Deputy Governor of Katanga, Jean-Claude Kamfwa, thanked Equity BCDC for the initiative to bring the Kenyans.
Je tiens donc à saluer l'implication du groupe Equity Bank et Equity BCDC dans l'organisation de cette rencontre qui, reconnaissons-le, revêt toute son importance comme étape cruciale devant permettre l'éclosion d'initiatives régionales, favoriser les synergies et la création de valeur pour nos 2 pays et pour notre belle province.
Everything in Congo is an opportunity, if I have to say so. Everything is an opportunity. There's no field in this country you can tap in and not get successful. Everything, no matter what you think about. Because just take the population, 100 million. Who don't want a market of 100 million customers? It's ready available. You think of agriculture, you think of education, you think of medicine, you think of all the field are in need in DRC.
Equity Group Chief Commercial Officer Polycarp Igade said the mission has opened doors for Congolese entrepreneurs to visit Kenya.
We come to seek partnership. We come to embrace you, to give you a normal African hug, and to shake hands as equal partners. So we expect that there'll be a lot of business from DRC coming to Kenya and a lot of Kenyan business coming to DRC.
At the opening ceremony of the Goma conference, the governor of North Kivu, General Constant Kongbanima, said the DRC government is setting up economic zones to attract foreign direct investments.
Et vous souhaitez la bienvenue à l'occasion de la cérémonie d'ouverture de la mission commerciale Kenya-République démocratique du Congo 2021. En effet, cette mission organisée conjointement par la République sœur du Kenya et de la nôtre, regroupant plusieurs hommes d'affaires, tant kenyans que congolais, a pour mission la promotion et la consolidation des relations commerciales et économiques entre nos deux États. A conduit cette mission et aux hommes d'affaires kenyans pour le choix judicieux de la République démocratique du Congo comme destination de prédilection pour les affaires en général et en particulier la province du Nord Kivu.
Equity Group CEO Dr. Mwangi said the bank has set aside $5 billion for entrepreneurs to invest in farming, tourism, manufacturing, logistics, among other sectors.
There would be no better force of changing Africa than the business community. The business community, all entrepreneurs, organizes resources, takes the risks, and create products and services for the consumers, and in the process, they create wealth. The real cure to African challenge is wealth.
Citing Serena Hotel, Goma, as an example of cross-border investments, Dr. Mwangi said Goma and the surrounding region has a huge tourism investment potential.
Hasten your steps and invest in DRC. The tourism opportunity here is big. I was envious last night to see the hospitality in the lake. It's only by collaboration and partnerships that we can progress and take the continent to the next level.
East and Central Africa region has a long history of trade that has continued to the present. Indeed, the DRC is the sixth largest market of Kenyan goods.
Beyond having an embassy, we have now brought in a commercial attaché to confirm the importance of this region, Goma region. From the month of October, we started direct flights from Nairobi to Goma. When we started, we were doing 2 flights a week. Right now, we are doing 3. And we are looking forward to having daily flights.
Although the Eastern DRC has been the subject of news on insecurity, the delegates learned that intensity of conflict is low. In Bujimai, the governor of Kasai Oriental, Janet Muswamba, said Equity CDC is an asset. She said the province has the longest section of the mighty Congo River and there are opportunities for investments in agriculture, mining, tourism, water and energy utilities.
Je voudrais également saluer les membres du gouvernement provincial et plus particulièrement celle des opérateurs économiques de ma province, dont la présence traduit tout l'intérêt qu'ils attachent à l'ouverture au monde, à travers les échanges commerciaux pour des conditions de vie meilleures dans notre espace commun.
The partnership between Kenya on the eastern seaboard of the Indian Ocean and the DRC on the Atlantic Ocean has opened age-old trade routes. For the delegates who participated in the trade mission, the initiative was an eye-opener that will herald a new beginning for Eastern and Central Africa.
Mkutano unakuwa nzuri kwangu kwa sababu ninakutana na entrepreneur wa kutoka Kenya, na ninajua kama tutafanya partenaria, ile tunaita partenaria, kwa sababu niko frame international. Najua kama nitakuwa international kabisa, kwa sababu pamoja na entrepreneur kutoka Kenya tutaungana pamoja na tutaendelesha uchumi wetu kwenye Kongo pia na kwenye Nairobi.
I would like to add the Kenyan population, the people who can do business here in Congo. There are a lot of opportunities here. Please come and let's move together. Let's exploit these opportunities so that we can move forward as a community in Kenya.
A big appreciation to the government of DRC and to the government of Kenya. First, bringing 250 companies from Kenya to come and see the opportunities here. And Equity BCDC being able to show us the way, telling us we've been here before 7 years, this is how we've been able to prosper, this is how we've been able to transform lives in this economy, and telling us, come, we want to do business with you. That is not something to be taken lightly, getting all of us here.
This was a very good call for both countries, and especially I thank Equity for facilitating this, because for many participants I've been able to talk to, it's an eye opener for them.
Opportunities abound in the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC. The country is endowed with arable lands, rich mineral deposits, and an insatiable market for goods and services required by the almost 100 million population. In April 2021, President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya and President Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC signed a bilateral agreement that would see greater collaboration between the two countries. The agreement culminated in a 15-day trade mission to the DRC organized by the Kenya and DRC governments and facilitated by Equity Group.
I believe it is a moment of rare regional and continental pride as we witness our local enterprises coming together in the spirit of one Africa, one people.
And the theme, unlocking trade, tourism and investment opportunities in DRC and the Great Lakes region, the trade mission attracted more than 300 Kenyan investors, entrepreneurs and small and medium enterprises SMEs. The delegates first jetted into Kinshasa, a metropolis that is home to more than 16 million people. They were led by Kenya's Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina, Equity Group Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi, Equity Group Chairman Professor Isaac Masharia, and the host, Equity BCDC Managing Director Celesta Mukeba.
We are very, very entrepreneurial. We seek new opportunities, and I've actually met Kenyans who have been in this market doing business for a while already. So this is, I think, for me, a great opportunity, and we present the opportunity in Congo as an opportunity for Kenyans to come and set up here.
The Kenyan entrepreneurs, captains of industry, and government agencies representatives were joined in the business forums, exhibitions, panel sessions, and site visits by more than 2,000 Congolese counterparts who were also keen to forge business partnerships.
J'ai la ferme conviction que la mission commerciale RDC-Kenya visant à rapprocher nos deux pays est de nature à renforcer nos relations en matière d'échanges commerciaux transfrontaliers facilités à ce jour par la zone de libre-échange continentale.
It's not every other time you get such opportunities where people open doors, actually walk in, see the opportunities, come back home and invite you to go and see what is available for you to do. And you can see this is a very big team. We have farmers here, we have engineers here, we have architects here, we have doctors here. It's a whole team. Just come and look for a niche for yourself, deliver on that, partner with the people on the ground, and you're good to go. It's a very good thing that Equity are involved in this, and I must say congratulations for holding our hands and bringing us. We have a time now to sit back and say these are the opportunities that we had, and this is what we did.
Giving a comprehensive prospectus of opportunities in the DRC, Dr. Mwangi said the trade mission was advised by the need for business decisions to be made guided by facts on the ground.
Today we started the Kenya DRC trade mission. We brought 253 Kenyan entrepreneurs. They are being hosted by over 2,000 Congolese business people. And the objective is to get Kenyan entrepreneurs to see the opportunity in DRC. The second one is to forge partnerships and collaboration with entrepreneurs of DRC so that we promote joint ventures.
Dr. Mwangi put in perspective the economic situation in the DRC, illustrating that the vast country is where Kenya was when only 6% of the population was banked.
DRC, from the financial sector, is where Kenya was in the early 90s. We're talking about 6% of the population being banked, 94% excluded. So this is a market we can grow very rapidly, much faster than we grew in Kenya, where we moved from number 66 to become number 1 largest bank in Kenya.
What Equity has done, I think, is one of a first, because Equity has been able to demystify the whole trade across DRC.
Kenya's Trade Chief Administrative Secretary Lawrence Karanja lauded Equity for partnering with the DRC and Kenyan governments for what he termed as part of a greater vision of the Africa Free Trade Area.
Kenya is keen to enhance trade relations through COMESA, tripartite, and African Free Continental Trade Area. And as I've said, we are pleased to welcome DRC into the East African community, because by so doing, we'll be having a market of more than 200 million people within the East African region. That is a market, and I will be asking the people of DRC and the people of Kenya to look at that opportunity which is coming.
We want more of this because it's bringing like-minded people together. What is also the missing link is normally money. How do you de-risk an opportunity? Working with equity as a partner, we're able to understand off-takers, we're able to de-risk by making sure that the money is available, we're bringing like-minded people together. Equity is a lubricant in all of this. And by facilitating and going at different government levels, we're removing a lot of wrinkles and allowing us to do business. Just love it.
Day-long discussions in sessions in Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, Goma and Bujimai addressed various topics with strong panels of experts analyzing their respective sectors. An exhibition site was annexed to the plenary where traders from both countries also had an opportunity to showcase their products and services. The delegates had an opportunity to network with their Congolese counterparts in matchmaking sessions and business site visits in all 4 cities. Equity BCDC MD Mukeba was at hand to discuss how the entrepreneurs can partner with the bank.
The DRC is a country of opportunity in the sense that the number of population, we are talking about 100 million people, and it's growing at least 3% per annum. So that shows the headroom in terms of growth, especially when we speak about 6% only the banking penetration. So 94% is the potential of growth.
It is refreshing to see that Africans are going to Africa, and we call them same as we will call someone else investor. It is a very good thing. I love the mission.
Participants had a chance to interact and appreciate firsthand the opportunities that exist in trade, manufacturing, agriculture, mining, tourism, IT, among other sectors.
This mission is very good because it is also an opportunity for people of Africa to be together for that good business that we need to do between Africas. Equity Bank is now like a medium, between us in our invest.
Kenya's ambassador to the DRC, George Masafu, expressed his satisfaction with the mission.
Kenyan businessmen are not coming here to do business.
Raising us this morning and giving us a gift of life and a gift of a new day. We are gathered together this morning for a meeting. How we pray that your presence be with us. May we find victory, boldness, and confidence in you as you grace our meeting this morning. We bless everything that we're going to do. Let it be for the glory of your name. Blessing you for who you are and what you have done for us and what you have promised for us even in the future. We bless you and bless this meeting. For this we pray in Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. We want to welcome all of us, and especially our friends from the fourth estate. We have those who are following us online, and any questions that you might have or comments, please post them, and we'll be able to share them here for responses. It's now my pleasure to invite Dr. James Mwangi to come and speak to us. Dr. Mwangi.
Thank you very much, Alex. Deeply appreciated. To the further state friends and those who are virtual, I want to take this early opportunity to thank you for being with us this morning. And this morning, we said we want to launch a new approach towards equity way of doing things. Equity has a very strong purpose that it has always pursued, that has guided our plans all the time, that of changing lives, giving dignity and expanding opportunities. That has been really our compass, pointing to the true north, that the success of equity and the essence of equity is all about and is measured by how many lives we have been able to touch, lives that we have been able to impact, dignity and honor that has crystallized on those that we interact with, and our ability to expand opportunities for wealthy creation, simply because wealthy creation then gets the quality of life to be sustained, and then we can scale with generated wealth. If you look clearly our vision, and I wish Alex you could have been able to project it, our vision is one of inducing socioeconomic transformation of Africa. That's really what we pursue, to see socioeconomic prosperity for the people of Africa. And it has always remained a vision, but over the last 2 years, we have learned a lot about maybe how we could move away from seeking individuals, changing an individual at a time, but trying to take a more bold and courageous step and try and change value chains, ecosystems simultaneously. It has taken us nearly 40 years to reach 16.4 million customers. And we've been wondering how long will it take us to reach 100 million, our aspirational target. And we have realized if we continue getting one customer at a time, it may not happen during our lifetime. We have become very impatient to see it happen and happen during our lifetime. As a result, we have, as a strategic team, debated the possibility of developing a plan based on our vision. This time, the strategy is built and embedded in the vision, such that it's not about individuals, it's about society. It's not about dignity alone. It's not about just expanding opportunity, but it's to see socioeconomic prosperity of the entire people of Africa. And the question is, why don't we develop a strategy that is based on our vision and that incorporates our purpose and our mission? And we have attempted. We have been courageous, and we have attempted, and we are confident we have developed something we are proud to call a plan for socioeconomic prosperity of Africa. And we want to then gather the next level of courage and confidence and ask the public and stakeholders to hold us to account to a plan designed and intended to see socioeconomic transformation of Africa. 2 years ago this month, COVID struck, and we asked ourselves what we should be doing. And we realized that we needed to tweak our purpose slightly and start with saving lives, because lives were threatened. And then continue changing lives, continue giving dignity and expanding opportunities. And we didn't shy away from our purpose. 2 years later, looks like we overcame the fear that COVID came with, the fear of uncertainty, and more importantly and specifically, the fear of death. We went around our business of saving lives, providing PPEs to national referral hospitals, to county hospitals, to faith-based hospitals, 116 of them. And 2 years later, we take pride that the doctors remained confident that they could continue to attend the patients because they were protected. The approach we learned had changed from protecting an individual doctor, but to protecting an entire nation. And we asked, what lessons could we take from the way we managed COVID? And we realized we were able to manage COVID because we were also bold to do things differently. This country was wholly reliant on imported PPEs. And we brought on the table the it can be done attitude. And within 2 months, the country was producing PPEs. Within 6 months, the country was self-sufficient in PPEs and had become a major exporter of PPEs. A whole sector had been transformed. A whole sector had been rebuilt differently, creating about 7,000 jobs and having 76 factories working day and night to meet the demand of PPEs. And when looking at our GDP, adding a new sector of health, the health manufacturing sector. That was a formidable lesson for us, seeing what we could do. Then after 2 years, we realized we had transformed, we had changed. We had doubled our total assets, and we had become a regional systemic organization. It all happened during COVID. And we asked ourselves, how could it happen? And research after research came the concept that we had won the hearts and minds of society, and that we were reaping trust capital. We had renewed our social contract with the society. And we were benefiting from the benefits of confidence of society in our enterprise. And it's then that gave us confidence that we can approach banking from a society's point of view and do socio-economic. So a lot of words have been put on the table: value chain banking, where we take an entire value chain and bank it. And truly, it's the cash flows that determines the capabilities of consuming financial services for each of the actors. And the more we made the value chain solid and stable, the more and the better the banking experience became. We dropped another term. We can do ecosystem banking. This time not just a value chain, but an entire ecosystem. And truly, banking became a buzzword. And that explains to a great extent the migration from looking for a customer one at a time to hunting as a pack and acquiring entire ecosystems. And the rest is history. The bank has doubled its size and has become a systemic regional financial service provider.
In the spirit of continuing to learn, then we said, why don't we develop the strategy of the bank upon its vision of socio-economic transformation? And that is why the outcome of that ended up being a recovery and resilience plan for East and Central Africa. The central question in East and Central Africa is whether the young people can get more opportunities. The central question in East and Central Africa is whether we can build back better a region that is more resilient to shocks, and a region that tries to address the ills that have been exposed by COVID. The dependence on global supply chains and the danger of over-reliance on such global chains. The region has been asking, can we create local, national, and regional supply chains? And that explains why we are seeing countries like DRC fast-tracking their aspiration to join the East African community so that it become a formidable regional market. That's why the African Union has fast-tracked the African Continental Free Trade Area so that trade and investment can be supported by a bigger market so that Africa can utilize this opportunity of broken global supply chains to establish local and regional supply chains. And we felt that was a good cause for us to champion. It was a good rallying call for all like-minded people who would like to see Africa quickly recover, Africa recover in a resilient manner, and Africa thrive so that its young people could have opportunities. That is the plan we wish to present to you today, sell to you and say, we're seeking your partnership, we are seeking your collaboration so that we could be able to execute this plan so that we can have the impact of quick recovery, so that we can address the challenges, the humanitarian challenges, the social challenges, the health hazards, and the economic challenges that the region has had to confront because of the impact of the COVID pandemic. We'd like to get back to our lives. We'd like to get the region back on track. We may have lost 2 years, but those are enough. And we would like to see whether we could recover what we have lost in the last 2 years by fast-tracking the recovery and seeing the region thriving within a year. As we said, the boldness of Equity made Equity do things differently. Within moments, Equity was able to overcome fear and pronounce itself that it will continue to expand opportunities. And as a result, for 2 consecutive years, loan growth went up by 30%. We didn't stop lending. We kept the rights of the economy on. We gave a chance to 45% of our customers to seek to reschedule their loans so that they could focus on supporting their employees and their households, and focus on repurposing, retooling their businesses to make them fit for purpose after COVID. As a result, we have seen a very good survival rate of our businesses that we have been banking, well reflected by the very significantly declining NPL rates. and bounce back of their businesses. That has given us confidence that we can dare to dream bigger, and we can dare to boost our confidence and courage and adopt a more daring, can be done attitude, because we like the impact that we are seeing. We tested the market and did a lot of market storms. We did a lot of trade missions, either in South Africa or in DRC. And we saw the potential and the possibilities that this plan could have. We talked to many around the world, and we realized we were not alone. There were many like-minded people who would like to do something for the region, but didn't know how to do. And so this plan that we are launching today is not our plan. It's a plan for like-minded people, and we will champion it. And together, in a collaborative manner, we hope to make a difference. We hope to make impact. I want to thank all my colleagues who have dared to start to be counted to make this happen. And we become that generation that induced transformation in our region to create a better East and Central Africa. I want to invite my colleague Brent Malhai to share with us, really in a detailed manner, the plan that we present to you. The regional private sector economic and resilient stimulus plan that will see the region recover, build back better in a sustainable way, and create greater opportunities for young people. Brent.
Great. Thank you, James, and good morning, good day, everyone, and thank you for spending time with us. So I would like to just start the conversation on maybe just by picking out a couple of words and comments that James has mentioned, and it's specifically 5. So the first one which I'd want to pick out is around corporate philosophies, and then I'll just make some comments around that. The second is around impatience. The third is around ecosystems. And fourth is around visions. And then lastly, the word I would want to pick out from James's opening remarks is around daring. So in terms of corporate philosophies, this has essentially seeded an idea that has weathered a number of storms, droughts, and fruitful years. And it has essentially come, I suppose, to a point, and that's why we're here today, in what has become the social and economic transformation plan that really leverages off a seed that started in a small town that you're all familiar with. And it's a plan and a seed that really speaks to bringing together social considerations as well as the economic considerations. The second was around impatience, and impatience really highlights intent, real intent to actualize what was seeded many years ago. The third is around ecosystems, and it's not just about looking at individuals and having impact and having the seed grow fruit for individuals, but ecosystems. And you will appreciate when we talk about ecosystems, these are ecosystems that transcend borders, and that's why what we believe this plan does, it catalyzes progress across borders beyond our 6 markets. The fourth that I wanted to comment on was around the vision. And it's really underpinned by what we have in our corporate philosophies, that seed that we planted. And it's around social and economic transformation. As Equity Group, you cannot have sustainable economic transformation without having the social considerations, that social impact as well. And ultimately, what social and economic transformation translates to, and what the objective of this plan is to, and it's more a vision than a plan that we have, given how ambitious it is, it's to industrialize Africa. And then lastly, daring. And I would maybe want to quote, and that is, there is no passion to be found in playing small, settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of. So we hope that there are partners that are as daring as Equity Group in terms of what it plans. So maybe, Alex, if we can go to just a summary of what this plan is. And maybe just to give a bit of context of what we as Equity Group are seeing. There is significant opportunity, and we're all familiar with the headlines of Africa Rising. There is no doubt there is a lot of opportunity that Africa presents. But for the time being, they remain nascent. There are a couple of things that need to be unlocked for this nascent opportunity to be realized. And the opportunity really speaks to a number of secular growth drivers. And one can talk about productivity gains. In a country like Kenya, where a lot of investment has gone into infrastructure, the productive capacity of this country is such that manufacturing can take place, agro-processing can take place, diversified manufacturing capabilities has been put in place, and it's a matter of just driving activity through that. The access to financial services, in addition to infrastructure, is further driving productivity gains. The second secular growth driver that we see across the African continent, and particularly in the markets that we operate in, is around growing consumption. With infrastructure now being installed, the beneficiaries of this infrastructure, the beneficiaries of improved access to financial services, is the real sector. It's the households that need to procure goods. You'll have consumption driving, you'll have urbanization driving these consumption opportunities. Thirdly, and we're all aware of this, is the commodities. Africa, and in our markets, the primary sectors of agriculture and the extractive sectors, whether it's oil, cobalt, copper, those will be the catalysts that will drive other sectors, that will fund these infrastructure gains. The other secular growth driver is around the cohesiveness that is taking place across Africa, and is what the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is looking to do. And that is the cross-border trade, where you'll have transfer of skills, transfer of technology to accelerate these productivity gains. And then lastly, and is what Equity Group is really looking to do, is to drive more cohesiveness between value chains, connecting that smallholder farmer, or before connecting, ensuring smallholder farmers are capacitated to ensure they know They have better ways to run a business. They are in a position to be connected into value chains, and that those value chains have access to markets. So when you put these pieces together, these opportunities really drive a lot of significant potential for Africa to industrialize. So what is the plan that Equity Group has? It's ultimately taking the primary sector, in the case of Kenya, where agriculture is a significant part of economic activity. It's a third of GDP. It's around 50% of employment. It's 70% of exports. It's 70% of household activity. It's really looking at taking these, and in the DRC you have the extractive sectors in mining. It's really taking these primary sectors, ensuring there is more value addition taking place. And we're going to do this leveraging off the balance sheet that Equity Group has. And ultimately, the objective is, as I mentioned, is to industrialize Africa. We want to lend to 5 million businesses. And from the work we've done, we have seen that for every business we've lent to, it has created 5 direct jobs and 5 indirect jobs, equating to 50 million jobs across the markets that we operate in. So that will give you background and context, and ultimately the objective of what this Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan intends to have. So if we go into some of the details of how we plan to do this, if we go to the next slide, Alex. So what we have is this Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan, with the objective of financially including 100 million customers. We're going to drive this plan through the productive side of the economy, through the private sector side of the economy, and essentially lend to 5 million businesses. And as we lend to those 5 million businesses, those businesses itself will create direct jobs, but also as businesses sustain themselves, their value chains of distributors, suppliers, off-takers will grow, and indirectly a further 5 jobs per business, 5 indirect jobs per business will be created. This plan of ours, this vision of ours, is underpinned by 5 strategic pillars. And these pillars are not coincidental. They are actually logical in how they've been thought through, and the initiatives that we have in each of those 5 pillars are logical in sequence and how we approach it over time. The first pillar is around the primary sector, and we can use food and agriculture in the context of Kenya as what our focus is. The second pillar is around manufacturing and logistics. Third is around trade and investment. Those first 3 strategic pillars are interconnected to each other. It's taking the raw materials that is in food and agriculture, ensuring the value chains in food and agriculture are better coordinated. There's more capacity in smallholder farmers to improve their yields. If you take statistics from FAO, the yields in Africa are around 60% lower than global averages across many crops, despite having above average rainfall. And we all know how food and agriculture takes place here. It's currently small scale, fragmented, uncoordinated, and the intention is to improve the cohesiveness of these value chains in food and agriculture, and ensure that smallholder farmers are connected to off-takers, and that both smallholder farmers and off-takers have ultimate access to increased markets. we believe when we make a comment around industrializing Africa, the comparative advantages that Africa has is really around what we have in the primary sectors of food and agriculture and the extractive sectors. So we believe in the case of Kenya, for instance, industrializing Kenya, which for most part it has already had a lot of momentum there, will be agricultural led. That's where its comparative advantages are. And if you see what is being exported, 70% of it is agricultural in nature. But what we want to do, and it ties in with what we're doing in Pillar 3 around trade and investment, we want to increase more markets for exports, but we want to ensure the goods that is being exported has at least one additional step of value addition. The second pillar is around manufacturing and logistics. And what this essentially speaks to is making sure food and agriculture has one additional step of value addition. That one additional step has a multiplier effect on value that is retained on the continent, but also importantly has a multiplier effect on jobs created. And under the manufacturing and logistics pillar, and logistics is there because we need connectivity between the farmer who provides the raw materials to the manufacturer or the agro-processor that needs to get those raw materials in an efficient manner. So logistics is very critical. And in Kenya, you have a lot of investment having gone into logistics, productive capacities, whether it's electricity, transport of goods through rail and road. That is quite important. What we're also looking to do in manufacturing is it's important that at the end of the day, we rely on comparative advantages, productive capabilities of each of the countries that we operate in. For instance, Kenya is well positioned to be the gateway, the diversified manufacturing gateway into East and Central Africa. If you go across a number of key cities across Kenya, there is diversified manufacturing taking place across Mombasa, Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu. You have light manufacturing, heavy industry taking place, you have agro-processing taking place, and the goods being produced there will find its way into East and Central Africa through the investment in roads, rail, ports, border stops. That will position Kenya to be the gateway into East and Central Africa. In a market like the DRC has around 60 to 70% of the world's reserves of cobalt. We're all familiar with what's taking place globally in terms of moving towards a more sustainable future in terms of renewable energy. If you look at the natural resources, which again is in the primary sector for the DRC, in terms of its hydro potential and the cobalt and copper reserves it has, the DRC should and must be a critical player in the global renewable energy supply chain. So we want one additional step to be taking place in the cobalt process in the DRC. At the moment, they export cobalt oxide. We want just one additional step from that so that more wealth is created in a country like the DRC. Across our markets of East and Central Africa, which DRC will soon become a member of the East African Community, there is significant potential for those 6 markets to be an alternative supply chain, an alternative global supply chain when it comes to food and food security globally. If we get it right on the food and agriculture, where through our social engine, what we do in the foundation in terms of financial literacy, entrepreneurship training, what we do with our agronomists to improve productivity of farmers, improving what is currently 60% below world averages in terms of yields. If we get that close to world averages, there is no doubt a market like Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, the DRC can be this alternative breadbasket. But it requires access to credible inputs, which Equity Group is looking to finance. It requires mechanization of farmers, which Equity Group is looking to support and finance. It requires the training of farmers so that they know how to do farming in a more optimal way, but also in a more sustainable way. Equity Group is looking to support that. And it's about connecting these critical players in the food and agriculture so that there is a seamless flow of goods being produced and ultimately produced to be exported in a value-added manner to our large trade partners. The fourth strategic pillar is around micro, small, medium enterprises. And this is a cross-cutting pillar across the first three strategic pillars. So the first three strategic pillars, you can see it takes the primary sector. The second pillar ensures there's training programs, taking those farmers, being trained with our agronomists to improve production yields. It's ensuring they're connected to those formal value chains of manufacturing, of trade and investment, etc. The fifth strategic pillar, and the last strategic pillar, which is also cross-cutting, is around social transformation and environmental. And what this really speaks to is capacitating. It's not just access to financial services that these businesses require, that food and agricultural value chains require, that distributors of manufacturing businesses require. It's also, there's a level of financial literacy, entrepreneurship training that is required. Communities, we need to ensure that there is a fit-for-purpose labor supply, and hence why education and leadership is a critical consideration. That we are able to give access to healthcare services, and hence why we have Equity Afia clinics. That social transformation and environmental strategic pillar is ensuring that there is sufficient capacity in these value chains. So when we piece these five strategic pillars together, what one would hopefully pick out is that there is been a lot of consideration in the opportunities that we see. We have considered the constraints that are currently inherent in our markets, and that's why Pillar 5 is a critical aspect to what we do. And what you'll see is that we've thought through this in a logical and sequential manner. And this is a multi-year plan that we have. And we hope, as I mentioned, that we have the like-minded partners that will help us execute what is a very ambitious plan and what one would call a vision, I suppose, that Equity Group has for industrializing Africa. And we're starting with the 6 markets in which we operate as a bank. So Alex, maybe we can go to the next slides. And the next slides maybe just gives a bit of further color of how Equity Group will contribute and execute this plan. Ultimately, if we summarize it, we have 6 capabilities where we can make significant impact as Equity Group. But no doubt, collaboration is required. So the first one is really around us as a financial institution. As I mentioned, this will really be driven by the micro, small, medium-sized businesses that we want to lend to. We will leverage off our balance sheet, which, if you take as an example what happened after World War II in terms of how the US supported Europe in terms of recovering and becoming more resilient with the Marshall Plan. The funding that went into that over a multi-year period was equivalent to around 1% of the GDP of Western Europe at the time. The excess capacity or excess liquidity on Equity Group's balance sheet today, which we will look to redirect to the private sector and into those to execute on those 5 strategic pillars, is equivalent to 2% of the cumulative GDP of the 6 countries we operate in. So, and you can see it's double what the Marshall Plan had. And therefore, Equity Group can have significant impact in a shorter period of time. If we go to the next slide, so balance sheet is what we have. Also, on the 3rd pillar of trade and investment, we operate across neighboring countries. So we are well positioned to support and execute on an initiative like the DRC Trade Mission. And maybe just to put a bit of color there, in December, Equity Group, in partnership with the Kenya government and the DRC government, hosted an official trade mission to the DRC. We took over 300 Kenyan businesses across 4 cities who met over 2,000 Congolese businesses. We partnered with Kenya Airways and Congo Air, and we took them across 4 cities in December during a pandemic. Hugely ambitious, but we executed it, and what has come out of that has been a significant pipeline of opportunities between Kenyan businesses and DRC businesses. And my colleagues, Polycarp, will give further color on how we're progressing on that. If we go to the next slide, it also speaks to around positioning and relevance, and we believe in the next year or 2 we will be number 3 across most of our markets. So we have market presence, and for us to have executed such an ambitious plan in DRC, you need to be relevant. If we go to the next slide, this is important. We have distribution. We operate where we are present. We are present where economic activity happens across our markets. I think that's the key point of this slide. If we go to the next, and this is probably the most important one, is the business model of Equity Group. And in the opening remarks of Dr. Mwangi and what I commented on earlier in terms of that seed, that corporate philosophy, it's really embedded, and it's our first principle, it's our anchor in terms of how we operate, and that's around social and economic transformation. If we go to the next slide, and sticking with the business model of Equity Group, Equity Group operates a business model that has 2 engines, a social engine and an economic engine. And just to illustrate why we believe as a financial services group, we can talk about social impact as well as economic impact. And the economic engine is essentially the bank as you know it, or the financial services capability that Equity Group has. But also the social engine is what we do and execute through the foundation, where we have 6 areas of execution in that social engine. We have education and leadership, we have health, we have social protection, we have financial literacy and entrepreneurship training, food and agriculture, and energy and environment. And essentially, though they catalyze each other. So for instance, equity affair, which essentially comprises micro, small, medium-sized businesses focused on in healthcare. The kids that Equity Group, through and supported by its partners, have funded to send kids to universities, those kids have become doctors. Those doctors have then become owners of those clinics. Those are doctors at the end of the day, so the financial literacy entrepreneurship training programs ensures there's sufficient capacity for those doctors to become business people. The bank or the economic engine then comes and provides the financing that is required to procure the inventory of medicines and to procure their equipment. So hopefully that gives you just a sense of how Equity Group plans to execute this Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan by taking its social engine, building capacity, and then the economic engine comes and provides that financing, which we're aiming to finance 5 million businesses over the next 4 to 5 years, which in turn will create those direct jobs and indirect jobs. Because those clinics, which we currently have 54, will hire people, and as they procure from distributors, suppliers of medical equipment, medicines, their businesses will grow because we are looking to scale up those clinics across Kenya and across our markets. So that will give you a real case example and put some tangible numbers, and I suppose enables you to visualize how Equity Group will execute this vision of ours, I suppose. If we go to the next slide, the second pillar of Equity Group's business model, it's financial inclusion. And what financial inclusion ultimately means in this plan is banking and providing a holistic solution to entire value chains. We will not only bank the commercial farmer, the manufacturer, we will finance right across, including the smallholder farmers who we want to connect to those large aggregators and ensure those aggregators, those manufacturers are connected to global markets. So financial inclusion for us is essentially ensuring everyone across that value chain is connected. And if you're not part of that formal value chain, we want to connect you into those value chains. And not only provide you financial services, but ensure you are capacitated to be considered into those value chains. If we go to the third pillar, and it's around a shared prosperity aspect in our business model, where it's clearly seen in what we do with agency banking, where we have this collaborative approach. We have these partners in the form of the small kiosks, the small shops that do financial services for us, but at the same time, we help drive activity through their shops and pay them commissions when they do services for us. So there's a symbiotic relationship, there's a partnership aspect to our business model. And again, as I highlighted, we believe there is many like-minded partners, not only in our markets, but across the world that is looking to partner with us. And you've seen us sign a number of agreements with a number of partners, including the UN, where we are looking to get large partners that can scale up this vision. If we go to the fourth, is around leveraging of technology. And I think this is just every business has this, so I won't go through too much of it, but I think over the years, you've appreciated what Equity Group has done with technology over the years. And fifth is around piecing this all together in an ecosystem banking approach. As I mentioned, the intention is to bank the entire value chain, provide a holistic, coordinated solution that is not only financial in nature, but also helps build capacity so those financial products are optimally used. If we go through to the last 6 capability, I've been through 5. The last few slides were focusing on the 5th capability in terms of the business model. The other aspect is the history that Equity Group has in terms of partnerships, collaboration. And there's no doubt having a comment where we want to industrialize Africa is quite audacious and is quite daring. And execution of that can only happen through collaboration and partnerships. And over the years, the group has a history, a track record in partnering with a diverse set of partners. If we go to the next slide, Alex. So maybe that just gives you colors, and there is the presentation in a more detailed format will be available. In coming to this strategic plan, a lot of work had to go and had to be done to just really appreciate what is the context, what is the opportunities, what are the challenges in which we operate in, what do we need to do to focus and to bring in partners to ensure that opportunity is realized, and in doing so, what is a credible number that we can achieve and reach if we execute and we leverage off the capabilities we have, but also the partnerships that we have. And when we piece this together, we believe that such an ambitious plan or vision, we believe it can be executed and ultimately industrialize Africa and accelerate a number of countries to be in middle income status. And ultimately, in tangible numbers, lend to 5 million businesses that will create those 50 million jobs. So that is the plan we have. Those are some of the details. So thank you very much for taking time to listen to us. Thank you.
Only Brent can do that. Thank you very much, Brent. I think you are what you do. And we have just said here that this is our plan. I know it may be disappointing, but let me say it, that this is who we want to become by doing what these plans articulate. That's what we'll do, and we hope that is who we'll become. As you have seen, we have not articulated about the profits. We have not articulated about assets. What one would have expected out of a bank and say, and this will be the balance sheet, this will be the assets, this will be the deposits, this will be the loans, and this will be the profit. Far from that, we want to see socioeconomic transformation of the region. And that's what we want to be, transformers of our region by executing a transformation plan. As we execute this plan, it has become apparent to us that there is always a reward if the economic engine is well positioned. And as Brent has alluded, we've decided to use technology as a platform to enable us to execute this plan. So the equity model of high volumes, low margins still remains to allow us to be affordable to all. We're not running away from sustainability and scalability. So profit is still significant. Balance sheet is central because we want to empower people through credit. But the 2 years of COVID taught us a different thing, that we are what we do. For 2 years, we chose to save lives. We chose to save businesses. We chose to keep the rights of the economies on. What did we become? The 5th best financial blood on earth. That's who we are now. A blood that is at peace with the society in which it operates. An institution and a commercial entity with a strong social binding contract with the community, and a community that is happy because we saved lives, we saved the businesses, we provided for households, and that is why now we're saying the next phase is now to help those businesses that we saved to quickly recover, thrive, and become resilient for the future shocks and prepare them for the future shocks. We are saying during the 2 years, we saw our balance sheet double. So balance sheet will be an outcome. We saw the quality of our loan book improve because we read by empathy, and society had empathy on us, and so paid their loans. We read with the heart, but ensured the model took care of the brain. The business model took care of the rest. And essentially, we can't complain in terms of performance. So we are convinced that by doing good to cause socio-economic transformation, we'll do well. Let me hasten to add that this is not just a plan. It's a plan that has been on test for the last 2 years since we discovered where the future lies. The future lies in strong social contracts with society and communities. The future lies in having a very strong purpose and being purpose-driven. And purpose should be centric towards the people, ensuring we address inequalities and distribution of opportunities. We address inequalities in society and try and give every human being an opportunity to live a dignified life. That's what the purpose entails. But by doing good, we've realized we are doing well. Our balance sheet has doubled, our quality of loan book has improved significantly, and we can't complain about our sustainability and scalability. We are certain about the future because we are guaranteed and assured the future of society and community. So this plan has been pilot tested, and I want just to invite just 2 or 3 of colleagues who have been leading us in initiatives. I will really plead with them to be brief because they're just rolling out the pilot programs. And I will start maximum 2 minutes. Dr. Joan, social investment focused on health and how PPEs have become, providing PPEs have become a profitable business. Dr. Joan Korir.
questions. Okay, thank you. I think there's a very strong relation between health and economic development, and we've been able to see that in our initiatives as far as COVID response goes, and also on our part that we play on the health system and service delivery and Equity Afya. Touching on the COVID initiatives, especially our PPE response, as indicated, we started the initiative at a point when local manufacture of PPE was not something that we had in the country. PPE kits had 10 items, of which I think 0 really was available under local manufacture. We worked with local industries here, hand in hand with Kenya Association of Manufacturers for capacity building for our local manufacturers so that they could repurpose their production to ensure PPE is produced locally. I think 2 years down the line, we can say 100% of our PPE items are locally produced. So in our initiative to ensure social good in terms of being able to safeguard our healthcare workers towards COVID mitigation, we've also ensured that there's some economic transformation on that end, on the manufacturing end. Very briefly on Equity Afya as well. This, as I said, is really anchoring the aspect of health as a social good, and also anchoring it as well on transforming the health sector locally as an opportunity for entrepreneurship. I think for the longest time, health has been viewed as a social and a public good, a government's responsibility. But I think as we scale out outside there, we are seeing that this presents a very good opportunity for investment in healthcare. Equity has taken the lead as far as that goes, so that when we look at the various components of the health system, the building blocks for the health system, I think we can safely say that we are touching on all ends on service delivery. We are now generating very good data that feeds into the health management information systems globally, and I think nationally here in Kenya. We are also touching on human resources for health through our initiatives to support healthcare workers, capacity building that's begun with COVID case management and has now been scaled up further. And I think we are now presenting a very good consumption ground for essential medicines, drugs, and devices. So we are very grateful to have been able to play on that end, contribute to the health system building by touching on all the various pillars of the health system. Thank you very much.
I think I gave you too little time, so let me add what I thought you might have left out. So production of PPEs, we had to fund that. That was about $120 million to fund the factories to process. That was very good business. Then setting up clinics. So far, we have 54 clinics. Each of them represent an SME business. Each of them has borrowed 15 million. You can multiply 54 by 15 and see the loan book that we have created. But those clinics last year saw 701,000 patients at a price that was 40% lower than their previous service providers. That is both social impact and a good business. The second big area is capacity building. Capacity building is about ensuring nobody is left behind. Yes, Dr. John, I can see you are looking at me and said, the 54 clinics has built a significant demand for pharmaceutical products. We are now financing pharmaceutical companies to be set in Africa to provide all the medication that the 54 clinics, which hopefully by the end of the year will be 254 clinics, 254 clinics. So you can imagine if 50 could see 700,000, the target for this year is 2 million patients. So you can imagine the demand we have created to allow us to set a pharmaceutical or biofarms in the country. That is the linkages that we are really looking at, and we have financed one that hopefully in days, if not weeks, or in weeks, if not days, will be able to produce the first COVID tablets in Africa, here in Kenya. So that is the level of engagement that we are taking through and seeing that we transform the health sector. Ensuring nobody is left behind means building capacity, and where securities are not available, using credit sharing guarantee facilities with like-minded people to allow young people to start business and to create jobs. Anthony, 3 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you, James. Yeah, so with regard to supporting especially young people access economic opportunities, 3 years ago in a public-private sector partnership between Government of Kenya, Equity Bank, and the MasterCard Foundation, we launched the Young Africa Works program that has the ambitious goal of enabling 5 million jobs in Kenya. As part of the, for us, it's part of the 50 million jobs that we are looking at creating in the Eastern Central Africa region. And we are doing this mainly through access to finance, but also coupled with capacity building in the form of training, mentorship, and coaching in 3 main areas. The first one, which is the most critical for us, is enabling the 5 million MSMEs access financial services optimally so that they can be able to have the oxygen that they need to be vibrant and grow. Secondly is entrepreneurship and small business management skills training, which will enable them improve chances of survival, becoming more resilient, and also becoming very competitive in the global marketplace. And thirdly is digitizing these businesses through our digital literacy initiative, where we have also partnered with some of the leading digitization companies globally, such as Facebook and Google. And here we want to really enable participation of our customers, business customers, to be competitive in the e-commerce space, in the virtual marketplace, which is really a key determinant of success in the current era that we are living. So we want to leverage on technology to be able to reach on those 5 million MSMEs. From the initial pilot phase of this program, we've been able to support currently 436,000 micro, small, and medium enterprises through entrepreneurship and digital literacy support, and 2.3 million young people and women-led enterprises in financial literacy in our initiative, what we are calling the Financial Knowledge for Africa. In terms of jobs, what Brent alluded to, currently we are supporting 1.2 million jobs that have been created during those 2 COVID years by these 436,000 jobs. And most interesting lesson that we've seen is that 90% of these jobs are actually being held by young people, especially the informal sector, which accounts for 90% of the 20 million jobs that we have, for example, in Kenya. And we are sure that in the next 5 years, we should be able to realize that 50 million jobs from that proof of concept that we've been able to see. Currently, these SMEs have also been able to access 136 billion Kenya shillings. And what we can say is that this is despite them not having adequate collaterals, not having a demonstrated long-term history in terms of accessing credit, and also having been really impacted by the macroeconomic factors that happened because of COVID, where supply chains were disrupted. We were able to support this, and we were able to do this, as James has indicated, by crowding in our development partners who have been able to deploy loan guarantees, which are amounting close to 10 billion Kenya shillings. So we hope, even as we continue partnering with our development partners and even industry aggregators such as the chambers of commerce, the authorities that support enterprises in these different countries, we can be able to really make a huge impact and create these economic opportunities for the young people and also improve the welfare of the households. Thank you, James.
Thank you very much, Anthony. So what we are doing in health is what we are doing in micro enterprises, small and medium enterprises. That's what we are doing in agriculture, supporting agriculture the same way, treating agriculture as business, and converting and transforming peasant farmers into agribusinesses. That's what we are doing in education, financing private schools so that they could support government initiative in education, and really ensuring those left behind are given a chance. Wings to Fly and Elimu scholarships have now reached 38,000, and we are confident we'll hit 40,000 this year or next year. We still have about 200 scholars in Ivy League schools and 1,000 in global universities in total. So we are continuing to push. While we have 22,000 kids in secondary schools, we still have about 17,000 kids in universities. So education is very, very central to this transformation. Social payments to ensure that we, together with our donor partners, we reach up to those in need. We're now paying social safety net payments to 3.4 million households. So the project is really integrated. But allow me, as I move from the insights from those implementing the plan, talk about resilience in a sustainable way, growth in a sustainable way, recovery in a resilient way, where environment is really at the center of it. And maybe Eric Naivasha, 2 minutes about energy and more importantly about environment. Numbers.
Thank you, James. As we look to grow agriculture, as Brent has said, our first strategic pillar is agriculture. We want to do that in a sustainable way, and that's why we are looking at climate smart agriculture. If you look at this country, 60% of our greenhouse gases come from agricultural activities and land use. And therefore, if we want to fund agriculture and grow agriculture in the region, we must do it in a climate smart way. And some of the things that we are doing is to ensure that as we increase production, as we work with the supply chains within agriculture, as we move to market, we are doing it in a sustainable way and looking at post-harvest losses, for example. The food that is produced in the region, 40% of it is lost. If food losses at the farm level were a country, they would be the largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world. So those are some of the things we'll deal with in agriculture. As we look to support manufacturing sector and value addition, the energy consumption and the energy mix within manufacturing also need to change so that we can reduce the aggregate levels of greenhouse gases that are coming from the manufacturing sector. So as we deploy our balance sheet in those areas, we are ensuring that clean energy and clean energy sources are used by our industries and in value addition in agriculture. We are working also with the education sector, which is very important to us. We have realized that education sector, especially in Kenya, consumes 1.5 million metric tons of firewood every year, worth 20 billion. And you're saying in terms of recovering back better and greener, We need to change the way we consume energy in our institutions, in our learning institutions, in our hospitals, in our industries, and transition them to cleaner fuels that allows Africa to build back greener. I think we have a chance. Brent talked about the Eastern Europe, building Eastern Europe. They didn't build back greener. And we are talking about temperatures rising 1.5% from the pre-industrial levels. So when Europe industrialized, they did not build greener. And we have a chance in Africa to really build back greener. So we have a few areas that we are working on, renewable energy, energy efficiency to make sure that our SMEs have greener production processes, water efficiency, because water, with climate change, water resources are becoming scarce. And therefore, water efficiency becomes...
Numbers of what you have done in the pilot.
Yeah, in the pilot, right now we have reached about 400 households with clean energy. And what we have seen is it's a whole industry that is developing. As we increase the number of households that are adopting cleaner energy sources and schools, there's a whole industry of SMEs, of distributors, of importers that needs to be financed to cope up with that demand. And therefore, we are looking at the entire ecosystem that is created from the opportunities that are presented in climate finance.
By the end of March, we hope we will have transformed 1,000 boarding school kitchens from using wood fuel to using LPG. By the end of next year, we hope we'll have transformed 30,000 schools, saving 1 million trees per month from being chopped by the schools for energy. Those are the numbers people are looking for, Eric. Drop them in the next 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you very much. So in terms of the portfolio that we managed to, we have deployed $500 million already in that sector, especially in the area of renewables, in the area of energy efficiency, and water efficiencies. Today, we have almost reached 1 million households with water harvesting and storage. And what that has done is to create an entire industry. Now there are tanks manufacturers, there are distributors that need to be supported to be able to cope with that demand. And the last one where we are really supporting now is circular economy. How do we use the waste of one person to create value? So a lot of SMEs in circular economy that now we are supporting. We are looking to support 5,000 SMEs in the region to deal with waste management, whether it's at the farm level or at the industrial level, and creating that energy into waste. Thank you, James. And tree planting, we took a target. 2 years ago, during COVID, we took a target of 35 million trees, because we believe that trees are still the better sequesters of carbon from the atmosphere.
How many have we planted?
We have planted 12 million today.
Thank you very much.
12.7 million today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's all about numbers. Really, in God we trust. Everybody put the data on the table. What have we done? I think broadly we see what is happening. Allow me now to turn to mainstream business and learn how this plan involves trade and investment, and how trade missions across the region to promote regional trade are happening, and early signs of deal pipes. Allow me to invite Humphrey.
Yeah, thank you, James. So as mentioned earlier by Dr. James, in December of last year, we had the privilege of inviting and taking 300 business people to DRC. This is from a captive audience of approximately 900 businesses who had registered to participate in the trade mission. But because of the capacities, we only took 300 of them. We visited the 4 cities, and out of that, I'd like to share some statistics and learnings that we got from that. The first learning was that business people are looking for opportunities beyond the traditional borders. They are ready to venture into the markets across Africa, and DRC clearly presented that opportunity. Secondly, they had opportunity to interact amongst themselves in a greater way than they have had even here in the country. So the tie-ups that have resulted as a result of that trade mission and the time that we had together for the 3 weeks that we were in DRC was absolutely beneficial for their businesses. Subsequent to that, a team of close to 26 businesses have since returned to DRC to work towards crystallizing the opportunities that were identified. Business deals and stated investment opportunities that have been established amount to about $1.6 billion as of today. $1.6 billion that they would never have seen or have had an opportunity to identify had they not gone to DRC. Practical business that has happened, for example, one of the sectors that we were playing in is in the agriculture space. So in February alone, there were business people who took flowers for Valentine's to DRC. I'm made aware that in the past, DRC has primarily used artificial flowers for ceremonies of that nature. And so taking these flowers to DRC was really an interesting opportunity for business people. Sectors that have been of interest have included professional services, have included real estate development, have included development of infrastructure in DRC, whether it's the road network, the airports, etc. Transportation between cities in DRC can be challenging. However, it was very interesting. When the business people and businessmen and women were having those kind of discussions, they were able to say, these challenges that you see here today are actually clear signs of opportunity. And so they are saying, we will go into this market and provide telecommunication service, provide infrastructure, provide the support that is required. There are companies who have now launched flights to take the cargo. One has started to Goma. There will be another one coming up before the end of this month, going on a monthly basis to Kinshasa, again to address the opportunity that has been addressed or has been identified. Dr. James, with the opportunity, if I can just talk very briefly about the market storms. We have had opportunity to interact with more than 320 businesses so far, the executive teams going into the region across the country. And we talked in the Africa Resilience and Recovery Plan around how we are impacting and seeking to finance businesses. Already, these 320 businesses have approximately 5,000 distributors or suppliers each. It therefore means we have a captive audience of about 1,560,000 SMEs that we really can participate and finance by supporting their businesses to grow. So this is a sort of impact that the bank is actually providing in the economy today. Thank you.
So of the 5 million targeted SMEs, over 1 million have been identified in just 300 ecosystems. With that, allow me to invite our group Chief Commercial Officer, Polycarp, who is our champion. He's the one leading us on the ground, and is the one who is helping us to hunt as a pack and to lead a master ecosystem banking. Polycarp.
Thank you very much, James, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think Dr. James Mwangi started us out this morning with the words of a new approach to doing things. And to all our customers who are streaming in this morning and listening to us, this new approach is grounded in our compass. And that compass has 3 words: lives and livelihoods, dignity for community and people, and opportunities for wealth creation. And in there, we have therefore gone to the field and today become an institution that removes demand constraints, especially for large enterprises and corporates, by hooking them, by unleashing ecosystem financing. The biggest need in the market today is usually the hardware store that has orders of steel and cement from a contractor, for instance, but they don't have the stocks. But the orders are sitting here. You have a businessman today or a businesswoman today who says, I have orders of $1 million shillings, but I don't have the capital to be able to fulfill those orders. And that lack of working capital, therefore, has been a big constraint, not just to business and livelihood, but also to job creation. Because the more orders you can fulfill, the more jobs you can supply. And therefore, we have rolled out already a wonderful load-for-load financing product that is working across very many verticals in the economy of the country. By verticals, I mean different industries. So we have salon owners who we have hooked up with cosmetic manufacturers. We have hardware shops who we have linked to steel makers and to cement makers. We have bars and restaurants who we've hooked up to beverage manufacturers. And you start to see how that now connects to the strategy of food and agriculture, manufacturing and logistics, trade and investments, which Brent spoke to earlier today. Allow me to tell you 3 stories, and these are real stories, of customers who have come in contact with what we have to offer with our new approach, an approach that gets us who work in equity to wake up to a calling, not wake up to an alarm. Because this calling is a calling to deliver impact, and that impact is what Dr. James Mwangi calls doing good. And then the subsequence of that is doing well. You go to Kitale, and this weekend, I was on television speaking to young people about young people and business. And a young man told me, please remind to tell them that I was a hawker in Kitale. And today, I'm a big importer from manufacturers all over the world of textiles, clothing, which I'm supplying all over the Northern Rift region. And I'm looking to start my own factory going forward and integrate to cotton value chains. The story of a young man who not too long ago, less than 10 years ago, was sleeping in Mwembe Tayari and was a beba or hamali, as they call them in Swahili, and would carry fruit and vegetables from trucks to give them to the people who are supplying hotels. And that individual today is the largest supplier of fruit and vegetables straight to farm to the plate in different hotels and restaurants all over Mombasa, and is one of the largest tourism providers. The story of a lady who was a nurse who noticed the number of accidents in high-rise flats in Eastlands, Nairobi, and booked a little room next to her house, and started a nursing operation there. And today has grown that business into a level 6 hospital with branches all over Eastlands and into places like Kiambu. And so when we talk about an African resilience, when we talk about a strategy, sometimes it's forgotten that this strategy hits the streets. And when it hits the streets, it really transforms lives and livelihoods. And that is why Dr. James Mwangi posed these profound questions. Can young people get wider opportunities? Can we rebuild our economies better and retool them better? And can we create regional level supply chain? And I would also want to play to the lending with empathy, where we have seen moratoriums granted of close to 171 billion shillings. We put 171 billion shillings and stopped the repayment of principals and interest in 2 years. And what we have seen is the honesty and sincerity of our people in coming back to begin those repayments and the management of what we call the COVID-19 book in the bank. And last but not least is the ability to present liquidity to business people just when they need it, and working in collaboration and partnership, which is one of the capabilities Brent spoke to of the institution. These collaborations and partnership, where we go to institutions that anchor and aggregate a lot of wholesalers, a lot of retailers, a lot of value chain. So for instance, you're a big seed supplier, you have big wholesalers who then supply seed to farmers, and you have a big outgrower scheme. We're then partnering with them and saying, share with us the data. Share with us the data. And we have come across a very interesting financial instrument, which was created by the market because of lack of innovation, called the post-dated checks. And you find very many corporations today that lend money bigger than banks. We have encountered people who have as much as 1 billion shillings of post-dated checks, which they bank every 60 days, because there is no bank that is willing to take the risk. The appetite, basically, in the industry of lending has been very narrow to take that risk. And equity then has come through in terms of innovation, which is the courage and the daring which we spoke to curate products that then help that billion shillings not sit as a PD check, but sits as real value in a corporate or large enterprise book, but also sit as very good stock levels with a micro, small, medium enterprise. So that courage and daring is coming through as innovation. And as an institution, what the mandate of this strategy is we are the ones who go to the kitchen with our customers to cook products. We don't have products sitting on shelf that we pull out and take to our customers. Instead, we curate products with you, and we go to the living room and serve them together to the customers with you. Second thing is really this DNA and this mindset and culture brought about by the corporate philosophies, the impact and the alignment of us as a people. And lastly is the impatience, the wide commercial appetite that is then born of the capability of a large balance sheet and perhaps the best field representation of any financial institution. 40,000 banking agents, 150,000 merchants enabling people to pay with equity at no transactional cost. Over 800 automated teller machines across all the countries that we are working in. Over 200 branches, I would say, in Kenya, almost close to 350 branches across the region. So as people speak of digitization as the way to go, we understand that the human connection and service centers need to be reopened. And we are pronouncing ourselves in 30 new branches that are being rolled out as we speak, and targeting to do 60 brand new branches to serve you as customers. So that you start to feel our impatience to deliver our calling, the calling of transforming lives, of giving dignity, and creating opportunities for wealth creation. That compass becoming the heart of what we do, and the heart of what we do. I think the Young Africa Works program in Kenya has really hit the road. We have disbursed already, and I know my colleague Kiogora speak to it. As we speak, we have disbursed 136 billion shillings. I'm very pleased, Dr. James, to let the world know that out of that 136 billion shillings, 35 billion has been loans given without collateral. And we have an appetite to continue growing that by incentivizing through financial literacy to educate our customers the need to expose their entire 360-degree cash flow to the financial institution, so that you borrow in the same bank, you transact in the same bank, and you save in the same bank. The days of doing the three things in different places don't work, and then you are there for credit scored and you can be able to access. We have a lot of pamoja banking, which is our steroids to table banking, to what people usually call chamas. We are doing a lot of that. There's almost been disbursements of close to 10 billion shillings. It's standing at 8 billion. We've got, for instance, in sectors such as petrol stations, which we are seeing now with crude oil prices hitting $135 a barrel, the cost of replacing stock going forward for the person who's dealing in wheat, which in Swahili we call ungangano, the person dealing with steel, which is chuma, the person dealing with fuel, which is mafuta, ya gari, the person who's dealing with fertilizer. The cost of replacing stocks going forward is going to be very high. And this is where banks should just come in right on time. And we are saying that's the ecosystem approach we have adopted as our way of bringing to life the new approach to doing things pronounced by our group chief executive officer. So when we say that, we then say we are partnering with anchors in certain value chain and certain ecosystem and being able to deliver liquidity when it's needed. And that liquidity lands in the retail shop in the form of goods and services, which is a very unique way of doing things. So it's really changing technique so that we can absolutely jump higher. We have already bagged 1 million of the 5 million jobs, the ambition we had pronounced in Young Africa Works. And we are looking forward because as we speak, we've already credit scored close to 8 million individuals combined with businesses. And that level of credit scoring means we are serving loans and credit as a buffet. You know, the way you go to a hotel and you find that credit is sitting as a buffet. But for you to be credit scored, it's the ability to aggregate that cash flow. But we are educating people through financial literacy and really saying what a doctor is to your body or a nurse does to your body is what a banker is to your business. And that level of financial literacy, helping people understand the difference between cash and profit, that your order to cash cycle should be faster than your procure to pay cycle, that you should remain cash positive. We really come and sit there, and that is the heart of our relationship management. When we come to your premises, of course, we speak about the weather, we speak about family, but most important, we speak about entrepreneurs. And in closing, James has also really called on a very popular business book that is really selling today about what you do is who you are. If you look at Equity Group with this plan, we are pronouncing ourselves as parents in very many schools. We are parents through our Wings to Fly program. So we understand what it takes to be a parent. We are nurses, we are doctors, we are health workers through the network of Equity Afia clinics that we have. We are farmers through our connection to the tea farmers, to the coffee farmers, to the maize farmers, to the wheat farmers. We are truly farmers, to the agrovets, to the veterinary doctors that we work with. We are also traders, we are entrepreneurs, we are professionals, we are transporters, we are soldiers, we are policemen, we are teachers, because all those payrolls come processed through us and we understand your needs. Last but not least, we're environmentalists and we are protectors. We, through diaspora banking, are one of the biggest conduits of sending subsistence envelope to the household from relatives who are sitting abroad. We enable governments too to send subsistence envelope to people above the age of 70 through Inua Jamii, through Hunger National Safety Program across the country. And we sit here and are saying, therefore, that we are ready and we have piloted and given a test drive to this strategic plan that is embedded in purpose. And our people are also driven by purpose first. Thank you very much for listening to me and look forward to engaging you throughout the region and throughout the continent in making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Polycarp. As we come closer to a lap and take questions, allow me, I can see our Chief Information Officers, 17 of them are well represented today in this meeting. We can't execute this plan without a robust IT capability, systems and processes. And I want to invite our Chief Officer, Group Chief Officer, ICT, Lanre, maybe to give us an update of preparedness and readiness for the systems.
Thank you very much, Dr. James, and happy to be here with you. For those who are listening on the streaming, as mentioned, my name is Lanre Bamshebi. I'm the Group Director of IT and Operations for Equity Group. Yes, it's not a fluke. We actually have 16 CIOs that we've employed. I think whilst most people were going around trying to do so many other things during COVID, we at Equity Bank, we took the opportunity to pretty much wrap up the industry. We were recruiting. We got 16 CIOs from different places, South Africa, Kenya, as it were, Nigeria, Zambia, and they are all represented in this room. They were not just IT staff, but they were bank CIOs that we picked from the best across the nation to be able to help us build the great thing that we wanted to build. And in terms of social, it's not just about the business as well. For IT, we also engage some of our university, like University of Meru. We guided some of their students. Strathmore University, Nairobi University, what we did is what we call an incubation. And for a bank of this size, we actually put aside 2 billion for innovation and research. That tells us we want to continue to improve as we go. We've also put in systems. One of the problems we had in the last 3 years was around fraud and cybersecurity. So we've done a lot around that. We bought a couple of systems to make sure that we secure the funds of our customers. We also fortify the team, the resources handling the security, to make sure that we have the best in class. We've also gone ahead. When you talk about IT, sometimes it's shredded in a lot of ambiguity. So what we've done is to ask other people to come and see what we do in Equity Bank. So we've gotten BSI, British Standard Institution, to come and review our processes. And in doing that, last year we were awarded ISO 20000, ISO 27001, and PCI DSS. So this was just to guarantee our investors and our customers that their money is safe with us. We are doing everything according to best practice. The average age of Kenyan, based on the last statistics, is around 20.1 years old, and average for Africa is around 19. So that means a lot of people are doing digitalization. And so what we've been able to do is to put some of our systems, despite the fact that Polika mentioned that we are opening branches, and whilst we are not going to leave our legacy customers, or in the use of another word, our customers that are not, pretty much digital literate, we are trying to give them what they need to do with the Challenger Bank. We're also doing a digital bank, and we applied for a mobile wallet. So we got the license 3-4 weeks ago. So we'll be going out with our mobile wallet. We're also working with WeChat and Huawei and a couple of other international companies to put in place a digital first solution for our customers. We are doing a lot around APIs and remittance. And then during COVID period, we realized that most of our families in the diaspora were sending money in, and Equity was there to make sure that it is done seamlessly, and that really helped to fortify the economy of Kenya, as it were. We also started digital lending. A couple of my colleagues here, they've been doing a lot of work using machine learning and artificial intelligence to change the way we borrow hand money. And then from the statistics I got, as at February 3rd, we've borrowed at about 207 million on the digital platform, and then only about 0.7% of that are defaulted, which is a very good NPL for machine learning that is also scaled strictly on the business. Now, we're also working on what we call the omni-channel. In terms of the channels that we have, there is nowhere you want to work or do whatever you want to do that we don't have channels. We have the Easy 254, then we have the Pay with Equity, which is causing a lot of buzz in the market right now. We have a chatbot, which is going live in April. March is a very important time for our customers in Equity. Equity Mobile 3.0 will also be going out in April. Our revamped USSD is already out, and we are trying to improve it as well. So by and large,
it's a good time to be with Equity as far as digitization is concerned. We've got the competency in terms of the skills. We've been able to secure approval from the board to get a lot of money, millions of dollars to make sure that we fortify our system. We don't want to we want to stop giving excuses to our customers. We want to be available 100% of the time. We want their funds to be secured. We want to make sure that, fraud is not something to mention as far as Equity is concerned. It's been said over and over that about 95 to 98% of our customers are on the digital channels. And if they rely on that digital channel needs to be sustainable and it needs to be very robust, and that is what we're doing. Just thank you very much for listening, and I hope you continue to engage us, and as we continue this journey into digitization for Equity Bank. Thank you.
Thank you, Landry. Joy, maybe you can do a roll call of the partners who have signed up to be part of this transformation journey for East and Central Africa.
Colleagues, the issue of vision, because today we're going public with this plan, with the recovery plan, but we've been working on it for more than a year, and really working to bring the vision to like-minded partners, as both Dr. Mwangi and Brent referred to. In that time, we've been informing, educating, and discussing the vision with partners across a swath of players, from the international sector to both the public and the private sectors, who we believe we can help bring to the table and share in the vision of the progress of the continent. As Dr. Mwangi and Brent have said, many knew that they wanted to do something to help on the continent, but they didn't know how. This is that plan, and because of that, this is all of our plans, and we hope to engage many other partners. So far, the daring and the courageous partners who have joined us and come on board include the entirety, as you heard, of the UN systems in the 6 countries that we operate in. We've actually signed full-scale agreements with all of the resident coordinators' offices to bring, for instance, in Kenya, there are 27 UN agencies, and we've brought all of them to the table. In Uganda, there are 24. In Rwanda, there are 28. And on and on. So we have actually signed full-scale agreements with all of those UN systems to bring those agencies on board. We've also been working with the IFC, with the African Free Continental Trade Area Secretariat, with the AFDB, with USAID, the US State Department, the International Chamber of Commerce, the World Bank, the UN Global Compact, MasterCard, the Commonwealth of Nations, which is 37 countries across the world, the embassies of Canada, Israel, the UK, France, and many, many others, the European Union, the European Council, and the European Commission, and private sector business partners across the world for our trade and investment initiatives that include organizations like Panasonic, John Deere, Google, Apple, Amazon, and the list goes on. This collaborative approach has also enabled Equity Group to catalyze more than $1.4 billion in capital facilities to support the initiatives that we are undertaking today. And lastly, I would just say that I believe that this launch today is a clarion call to other organizations that want to engage in progress on the continent. Please come and join us. We have the framework, and we believe in the vision and the daring idea that we have. We believe that we can actually accomplish it, but we cannot do it alone. The development of Africa will take all of us, and it will take many partners, and we hope that you will join us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joy and colleagues. So that's where we are. We trust you have also signed on in this plan. Nobody can own the development of a continent. We all just need to play our part We want to be counted. It has been initiated. Look and really come forward with where you can make a contribution. The greatest contribution we need is from the doers. We need job creators in the African continent. We want manufacturing on the African continent. We want to replace broken global supply chains. We want to add value to our commodities. We want to open a regional market, continental markets in Africa. We want people who can move goods from the west to the east, north to the south, and to the center and to the east. That is what we are really looking for. That's what we are really calling for. Bold and courageous men who make us the generation that changed history. The men and women who transformed Africa. That's the invitation from Equity Group and our partners. And there will always be a space for one more, because the continent requires men and women of goodwill who can make a difference. We also need cheerleaders, and we appreciate the customer base of Equity Bank for providing us with about $4.5 billion of deposits and $1.5 billion coming from international development institutions. The world is united with Africa. Ours is to bring an open, transparent framework. We lastly want to announce we have had a meeting of the mind with our regulator, the Central Bank of Kenya, and we have agreed for execution of this plan. It requires a risk-based credit pricing mechanism that allows everybody to play irrespective of their risk. And so we now have no excuse of leaving anybody behind, because we can price risk within reasonable range. We've chosen to be open and very transparent, so it's a no-inclusive one interest rate that encompasses all what we used to have previously as fees, loan appraisal fee, and all that. They have now been commuted to just one interest rate that is reducing interest rate and an annualized interest rate. So essentially, we want to take this opportunity to thank the Central Bank of Kenya, providing a way and a path that we could ensure affordability of credit within the country. And with those many presentations, I want to invite questions and request my colleagues on the podium. Now is time to pay for the seat. So mine is to direct the questions to the relevant person. So if there is any question, we'll share this presentation digitally. It will be available on our website. It will be available on the Investors Corner. And for those present here, we can just send it to you straight away. Thank you very much, Bella. Brent, this is your question.
Thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to get more information, if you're able to say what the central bank has approved as far as risk-based pricing is concerned. Are you able to give a range on what Equity Group has gotten for approval? Thank you.
Very good. We have used to a great extent the mechanics of the market, and I want to invite our financial reporting regulatory framework in charge, that is Merin Tele, who has worked tirelessly, and maybe Tele come forward so that you explain how the computation of the single interest rate and the price the risk pricing has been arrived at. Thank you.
Thank you, James, and good morning, everyone. On the risk-based pricing approach, we've been discussing this with the central bank over 2 years, and we were able to agree on an opportunity cost approach to this, where we are looking at where does the market price in terms of risk-free, where is, what is the government paying for money, and from there we are able to price for our operational cost, and we're able to price for our credit risk, basically. With that, we were also able to split our segments, so we are not looking at all our loans as one. We were able to look at consumer differently, SMEs differently, agriculture, corporate entities, and micro entities, I believe it is. And with that, we are able to price within a range of 13%, all inclusive, to 18.5%, again, all inclusive. All inclusive meaning that is an annualized interest rate that is inclusive of all negotiation fees, appraisal fees. Yes, that is the summary. Thanks. All right. Thanks.
But maybe just to add to that, that is on the basis of where the central bank rates are, the average central bank rates are at the moment as well.
So, brother, credit made affordable. Credit pricing made transparent. Credit pricing made simple. Just one rate, one effective rate. Transparent and within a range of your own risk. And from the lowest to the highest in each category, it's rarely 200 basis points. Within the same class of, if it's corporate, if it's agriculture, the range from the lowest to the highest risk will be within that range. Good? Any other question? Thank you. Alex, anybody online? Oh, very good. There is a question there.
Yes. Good morning. Kefa Mwiro. Gone off. Okay. Kefa Mwiro, Citizen Digital. 2 questions. Your 6B, the greater plan is around 2% of the GDPs. I've seen an estimate of $6 billion USD. I'm curious to know how much of that will be advanced as credit alone. And then my second question is, last year we also saw maybe a smaller Marshall Plan, if I may call it so. And I'm interested in the 500 billion shillings war chest that you are to support MSMEs with in terms of credit and guaranteeing credit, given that Equity was not playing in the government's credit guarantee scheme. If you could perhaps speak to that, I think Polycarp may have worked around those numbers, but if you could just revisit that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I said, Equity from its own funding, we have $4.5 billion. From development banks, particularly IFC, African Development Bank, Team Europe, that is all the European development banks, put in $1.5 billion US. That's how the $6 billion come. Now, if you look, that helps us to build a breaded financing capability with the long-term funds coming from the development banks. That is for project financing, development financing, giving loans 7 years, and the rest, particularly for the manufacturing sector, for infrastructure and such. Then the bank comes in with commercial loans up to 5 years, average 3 years. And then there is still overdrafts and whatever facilities the business require during that period. The cost of the 1.5 billion is in US dollars, so we are able to bring 2 local currencies of the 6 countries we are operating in, and we're also able to bring dollar facilities for those that are in the export market and have no exposure to foreign exchange risks because they generate their income in foreign currency. So it's the whole continuum in terms of currencies and in terms of maturity of the loan. You're good? Second part. It's now not 500, it has gone up to 687 billion, call it 700 billion. It's a building pot. That pot grows at a compounded growth rate of 27% annually because it's growing at this rate the balance sheet has been growing on. So next time we meet, most likely to be maybe $8 billion because the bank is growing. The more the economic activities, the greater the balance sheets, and it's the capability of the entire bank we are putting at the disposal. As more global companies come, we now have CDCs and the others who have come on board, KFWs, Propaco, and FMOs, we'll see that capability continues to grow. So we are talking of actual balances, which you can verify like when we publish our accounts next week. Good. Looks like we have done well in explaining. Alex?
Online, the road tour last year in DRC was a good experience. Can we expect the same for Equity BCDC customers coming to Kenya? It can be inspiring to see how it works there, especially in agriculture sector, and what Equity can do for them. Alice.
Thank you very much, Alice. An excellent question. The government of DRC have already given us about 24 bankable projects that they would like the delegation that will be making the return visit to Kenya to come with. And as Alice, as you anticipated, I think most of those projects are in agriculture. So essentially, we'd like to use the capability of Kenya in agriculture to transform, and the government has already done visibility studies of all these projects, put them at our disposal and said, try and match make our DRC investors in the agricultural sector with accomplished agricultural or businesses in Kenya. So that's something we'll be doing shortly, and I hope the return visit, Polycarp, will be in due course.
Yes, James, it's certainly in due course. It's in planning, and we're looking forward to towards the end of the year and early beginning of Q1 next year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It looks like we have run out of questions. Once again, I want to thank everybody who has participated. This is our continent. Let's come together for the cause. Let's bequeath our children a better continent than we have lived. That would be the legacy of this generation. Our parents and our grandparents liberated the continent. The job to be done, the job for our generation is economic transformation of the continent. I invite you and I welcome you on board as the journey of the African transformation, both socially and economically, begins today with the launch of this plan. Thank you very much and have a great day. Breakfast reinstated for those who are physically present, and let's interact.
Opportunities abound in the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC. The country is endowed with arable lands, rich mineral deposits, and an insatiable market for goods and services required by the almost 100 million population. In April 2021, President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya and President Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC signed a bilateral agreement that would see greater collaboration between the two countries. The agreement culminated in a 15-day trade mission to the DRC organized by the Kenya and DRC governments and facilitated by Equity Group.
I believe it is a moment of rare regional and continental pride as we witness our local enterprises coming together in the spirit of one Africa, one people.
And the theme, unlocking trade, tourism and investment opportunities in DRC and the Great Lakes region, the trade mission attracted more than 300 Kenyan investors, entrepreneurs and small and medium enterprises (SMEs). The delegates first jetted into Kinshasa, a metropolis that is home to more than 16 million people. They were led by Kenya's Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina, Equity Group Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi, Equity Group Chairman Professor Isaac Masharia, and the host, Equity BCDC Managing Director Celesta Mukeba.
We are very, very entrepreneurial. We seek new opportunities, and I've actually met Kenyans who have been in this market doing business for a while already. So this is, I think, for me, a great opportunity, and we present the opportunity in Congo as an opportunity for Kenyans to come and set up here.
The Kenyan entrepreneurs, captains of industry, and government agencies representatives were joined in the business forums, exhibitions, panel sessions, and site visits by more than 2,000 Congolese counterparts who were also keen to forge business partnerships.
J'ai la ferme conviction que la mission commerciale RDC-Kenya visant à rapprocher nos deux pays est de nature à renforcer nos relations en matière d'échanges commerciaux transfrontaliers facilités à ce jour par la zone de libre-échange continentale.
It's not every other time you get such opportunities where people open doors, actually walk in, see the opportunities, come back home and invite you to go and, see what is available for you to do. And you can see, this is a very big team. We have farmers here, we have engineers here, we have architects here, we have doctors here. It's a whole team. Just come and look for a niche for yourself, deliver on that, partner with the people on the ground, and you're good to go. It's a very good thing that Equity are involved in this, and I must say congratulations for holding our hands and bringing us. We have a time now to sit back and say these are the opportunities that we had, and this is what we did.
Giving a comprehensive prospectus of opportunities in the DRC, Dr. Mwangi said the trade mission was advised by the need for business decisions to be made guided by facts on the ground.
Today we started the Kenya DRC trade mission. We brought 253 Kenyan entrepreneurs. They are being hosted by over 2,000 Congolese business people. And the objective is to get Kenyan entrepreneurs to see the opportunity in DRC. The second one is to forge partnerships and collaboration with entrepreneurs of DRC so that we promote joint ventures.
Dr. Mwangi put in perspective the economic situation in the DRC, illustrating that the vast country is where Kenya was when only 6% of the population was banked.
DRC, from the financial sector, is where Kenya was in the early 90s. We're talking about 6% of the population being banked. 94% excluded. So this is a market we can grow very rapidly, much faster than we grew in Kenya, where we moved from number 66 to become number 1 largest bank in Kenya.
What Equity has done, I think, is one of a first, because Equity has been able to demystify the whole trade across DRC.
Kenya's Trade Chief Administrative Secretary Lawrence Karanja lauded Equity for partnering with the DRC and Kenyan governments for what he termed as part of a greater vision of the Africa Free Trade Area.
Kenya is keen to enhance trade relations through COMESA, tripartite, and African Free Continental Trade Area. And as I've said, we are pleased to welcome DRC into the East African community, because by so doing, we'll be having a market of more than 200 million people within the East African region. That is a market, and I will be asking the people of DRC and the people of Kenya to look at that opportunity which is coming.
We want more of this because it's bringing like-minded people together. What is also the missing link is normally money. How do you de-risk an opportunity? Working with Equity as a partner, we're able to understand off-takers, we're able to de-risk by making sure that the money is available, we're bringing like-minded people together. Equity is a lubricant in all of this. And by facilitating and going at different government levels, we're removing a lot of wrinkles and allowing us to do business. Just love it.
Day-long discussions in sessions in Kinshasa, Lubumbashi, Goma and Bujimai addressed various topics with strong panels of experts analyzing their respective sectors. An exhibition site was annexed to the plenary where traders from both countries also had an opportunity to showcase their products and services. The delegates had an opportunity to network with their Congolese counterparts in matchmaking sessions and business site visits in all 4 cities. Equity BCDC MD Mukeba was at hand to discuss how the entrepreneurs can partner with the bank.
DRC is a country of opportunity in the sense that the number of population, we are talking about 100 million people, and it's growing at least 3% per annum. So that shows the headroom in terms of growth, especially when we speak about 6% only the banking penetration. So 94% is the potential of growth.
It is refreshing to see that Africans are going to Africa, and we call them same as we call someone else investor. It is a very good thing. I love the mission.
Participants had a chance to interact and appreciate firsthand the opportunities that exist in trade, manufacturing, agriculture, mining, tourism, IT, among other sectors.
This mission is very good because it is also an opportunity for people of Africa to be together for that good business that we need to do between Africas. Equity Bank is now like a medium, between us in our invest.
Kenya's ambassador to the DRC, George Masafu, expressed his satisfaction with the mission.
Kenyan businessmen are not coming here to do business by themselves. They're coming to partner with Congolese partners here. So the bank is also going to finance the Congolese businessmen, just as they're going to finance the Kenyan businessmen. And we believe that with strong trade ties, the relationships between our 2 countries are going to be very strong.
Speaking at the Lubumbashi leg of the mission, Deputy Governor of Katanga, Jean-Claude Kamfwa, thanked Equity BCDC for the initiative to bring the Kenyans.
Je tiens donc à saluer l'implication du groupe Equity Bank et Equity BCDC dans l'organisation de cette rencontre qui, reconnaissons-le, revêt toute son importance comme étape cruciale devant permettre l'éclosion d'initiatives régionales, favoriser les synergies et la création de valeur pour nos deux pays et pour notre belle province.
Everything in Congo is an opportunity, if I have to say so. Everything is an opportunity. There's no field in this country you can tap in and not get successful. Everything, no matter what you think about. Because just take the population, 100 million. Who don't want a market of 100 million customers? It's ready available. You think of agriculture, you think of education, you think of medicine, you think of all the fields are in need in DRC.
Equity Group Chief Commercial Officer Polycarp Igade said the mission has opened doors for Congolese entrepreneurs to visit Kenya.
We come to seek partnership. We come to embrace you, to give you a normal African hug, and to shake hands as equal partners. So we expect that there'll be a lot of business from DRC coming to Kenya and a lot of Kenyan business coming to DRC.
At the opening ceremony of the Goma conference, the governor of North Kivu, General Constant Kongbanima, said the DRC government is setting up economic zones to attract foreign direct investments.
Et vous souhaitez la bienvenue à l'occasion de la cérémonie d'ouverture de la mission commerciale Kenya-République démocratique du Congo 2021. En effet, cette mission organisée conjointement par la République sœur du Kenya et de la nôtre, regroupant plusieurs hommes d'affaires tant kenyans que congolais, a pour mission la promotion et la consolidation des relations commerciales et économiques entre nos deux États. A conduit cette mission et aux hommes d'affaires kenyans pour le choix judiciaire de la République démocratique du Congo comme destination de prédilection pour les affaires en général et en particulier la province du Nord Kivu.
Equity Group CEO Dr. Mwangi said the bank has set aside $5 billion for entrepreneurs to invest in farming, tourism, manufacturing, logistics, among other sectors.
There would be no better force of changing Africa than the business community. The business community, all entrepreneurs, organizes resources, takes the risks, and create products and services for the consumers, and in the process, they create wealth. The real cure to African challenge is wealth.
Citing Serena Hotel, Goma, as an example of cross-border investments, Dr. Mwangi said Goma and the surrounding region has a huge tourism investment potential.
Hasten your steps and invest in DRC. The tourism opportunity here is big. I was envious last night to see the hospitality in the lake. It's only by collaboration and partnerships that we can progress and take the continent to the next level.
East and Central Africa region has a long history of trade that has continued to the present. Indeed, the DRC is the sixth largest market of Kenyan goods.
Beyond having an embassy, we have now brought in a commercial attaché to confirm the importance of this region, Goma region. From the month of October, we started direct flights from Nairobi to Goma. When we started, we were doing 2 flights a week. Right now, we are doing 3. And we are looking forward to having daily flights.
Although the Eastern DRC has been the subject of news on insecurity, the delegates learned that intensity of conflict is low. In Bujimai, the governor of Kasai Oriental, Janet Muswamba, said Equity BCDC is an asset. She said the province has the longest section of the mighty Congo River and there are opportunities for investments in agriculture, mining, tourism, water and energy utilities.
Je voudrais également saluer les membres du gouvernement provincial et plus particulièrement celle des opérateurs économiques de ma province, dont la présence traduit tout l'intérêt qu'ils attachent à l'ouverture au monde, à travers les échanges commerciaux pour des conditions de vie meilleures dans notre espace commun.
The partnership between Kenya on the eastern seaboard of the Indian Ocean and the DRC on the Atlantic Ocean has opened age-old trade routes. For the delegates who participated in the trade mission, the initiative was an eye-opener that will herald a new beginning for Eastern and Central Africa.
Mkutano unakuwa nzuri kwangu kwa sababu ninakutana na entrepreneur wa kutoka Kenya, na ninajua kama tutafanya mapartenaria, ile tunaita partenaria, kwa sababu niko frame international, najua kama nitakuwa international kabisa, kwa sababu pamoja na entrepreneur kutoka Kenya tutaungana pamoja na tutaendelesha uchumi wetu kwenye Kongo pia na kwenye Nairobi.
I would like to add the Kenyan population, the people who can do business here in Congo. There are a lot of opportunities here. Please come and let's move together. Let's exploit these opportunities so that we can move forward as a community. We can.
A big appreciation to the government of DRC and to the government of Kenya. First, bringing 250 companies from Kenya to come and see the opportunities here. And Equity BCDC being able to show us the way, telling us we've been here before 7 years, this is how we've been able to prosper, this is how we've been able to transform lives in this economy, and telling us, come, we want to do business with you. That is not something to be taken lightly, getting all of us here.
This was a very good call for both countries. And especially I thank Equity for facilitating this, because for many participants I've been able to talk to, is an eye opener for them.